My, we straight. Oh, why's the
Yes,
stream?
sir.
And we live?
Yeah, but I don't know if the screen capture thing is on. It's not showing
Yeah,
up.
no, it's all blacked out for me right now.
Hold on. Ah, there we go.
We good?
Yep. You gonna hit us with our introduction?
All right, yeah. Welcome back to Over and Back for our sixth episode. Last week we went over our top 10 players of all time. Every member of Over and Back. We were missing Rob today. We'll be missing Rob for the entire podcast today, but he'll be back next week. We all went over our top 10 players of all time. If you would like, you can always go back and watch our last podcast on YouTube. And we're gonna start off our podcast this week the same way we start off all of our podcasts. Mallory would like to give us our Power 10 rankings of our top 10 power rankings of the NBA.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
And
sir.
we got a new number one for our NBA power rankings. The Celtics come in at number one. The Bucks at two. The Suns at three. The Blazers at four. The Nuggets at five. The Cavs at six. The Jazz at seven. The Grizzlies at eight. The Mavs at nine. And the Hawks at 10. So it was a lot of movement this week. The Jazz jumped into the top 10 for the first time. I know we talked a lot about them and how they ain't really a playoff contending team, but I don't know. They keep hooping. They ain't slowed down for real, so they really might be. The Celtics took number one over the Bucks. The Bucks finally started to lose some games, and Celtics started to win some more. So Celtics is a pretty good team. Jason Tatum is leading the early MVP race, if you ask me.
Yeah, I wanted to add on that a little bit with the Jazz. We were slow to add them into the power rankings that we have so far, but they've continued to prove themselves as contenders, playoff contenders through the first 6 weeks of the season. So we have to give them their flowers, absolutely. And yeah, the Jazz are just getting more consistent and more consistent. And the Celtics, like you said, they're our new number one. Who else do we have? The Suns are back in the top three,
Yeah, the Suns
jumping
are
back
back.
over the Cavs. That's not really a surprise to anyone, but they had a few struggles throughout the season, but it looks like they're back on pace. And the Warriors are still not in our top 10 after 2 or 3 weeks of them not being in our top 10. How much longer do you think they'll be out of our top 10? They just got their first road win of the season, but how long do you think they'll be out of our top 10, Alec?
Hold on. Before I say that, somebody commented and said, "Cam, you got an echo." I don't know.
Do you hear me?
Do I hear you?
Like, do you hear the echo or no? Hold on.
I can't. Nah, I don't hear the echo.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. Testing. Uh, yeah, it's still an echo.
Well, while Cam tried to fix that, I'll get into what he was asking me about the Warriors out of the top 10. Uh, I don't know if the Warriors will come back into the top 10 until like maybe a couple of more months, maybe halfway through the season. Really, they got to figure out a lot of things defensive wise. I think I seen uh, somebody on Players Choice was talking about that the Warriors, the Warriors should have traded Jaden Jordan Poole and try to not give him a contract because scoring isn't really they problem. And I agree with what he said because the I don't agree with them trading Jordan Poole. I think they need Jordan Poole for the future, but scoring is definitely not the issue for the Warriors right now. They can't defend anybody. They don't have any paint defense. Their exterior defense is not that good. So the Warriors got a lot that they need to fix on the defensive end before they'll be a top 10 team in the NBA again. Like Steph Curry's playing out of his mind. He's dropping 40-point nights. He's making crazy shots again. He's looking like the best Steph Curry that we can see, but he's not enough. They got to defend the basketball. So until the Warriors learn how to play defense, well, not learn, they know how to play defense, but until the Warriors become better as a defensive team, they won't be in the top 10 because, I mean, they can't beat anybody without playing defense. They're not going to outscore everybody. So,
Right.
how long do you think it'll be before they get back in the top 10?
One second. Let me see if it's still working or not.
Hey Jackson, are you gonna be here tomorrow?
Yeah. Disconnect. Noise.
Do you think it's do you got like headphones in right now?
No, I don't got nothing in right now, but it's I can hear it on the stream. Yeah. What the Does it come through like that over Discord?
No, I mean I don't think I don't hear an echo. So
I don't know if it's the echo or just the way that the room is set up and it sounds loud. Do you hear it though? Do you hear it like this? Hold on. Okay, no, it's just that my mic is loud. That's what it is.
all right, hold on. Say something again now.
Uh, like testing, testing.
Uh, I don't know. If somebody in there can tell us if that was better or not, or if it gets better. But I'm trying to thug it out, I guess.
I'm gonna just try to continue on with it like this and see how it works in post production. Anyways, nah, the Warriors. You know, Clay was getting a little iffy. Clay, he's been playing kind of iffy throughout the season, but he came out as soon as everybody started questioning him. Clay did what he did, and he dropped 41 points. So if Clay keeps playing like that, and that was their first road win of the season as well. But if Clay keeps playing like that, we could see them back in the top 10 next week. But honestly, the way Clay has been after his injury, he only plays good when he feels like it. So I don't see them even being a top five team again this season for the rest of the season, honestly. But that's just because of the way that I feel like everybody realizes, okay, there's a way to contain Curry and slow down the rest of the team. And once you figure out how to do that, and you play your team's basketball, it's doable to beat the Warriors. And in a 7 game series, there's a few teams right now that I can feel that can beat the Warriors with pretty much ease in the Western Conference right now. And that leads me to the Kings. Have you seen the way that Kevin Hurts has been playing? Kevin Hurts has been playing out of his mind right now. The Kings are just, in my opinion, just outside of our top 10 right now. They've been really hot. They've been on a win streak. And they're also, I saw something about them being one of the top scoring teams in the league right now. And that is by a huge surprise. Like nobody would have thought that the Kings would be where they're at right now. Usually everybody thinks the Kings are going to be a bottom feeder in the league, but right now they're in the upper echelon of the middle pack of the league right now. And if they keep playing offense the way they've been playing and keep playing at their pace, they can sneak their way into a playing game to the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with De'Aaron Fox. So De'Aaron Fox is really coming into his maturity, coming into the guy that we always knew he could be. Because I knew since Kentucky days that De'Aaron Fox, he had that. He had to grow in the league and get good in the league. But I think we're starting to see that for the first time. He's coming in to stardom. He's averaging the averages he needs for them to be a nice winning team. And like you said, Hunter, he's been going crazy. Guy popped up on
Yeah.
the scene out of nowhere. So well, at least for
Yeah,
me, at
De'Aaron
least for me,
Fox
he
has
was
always
out.
been just a solid player, but now he's one of the most underrated point guards in the league, if not the most underrated point guard.
Yeah, so I mean the Kings got a lot of pieces for the future because I think that Murray will end up being a better prospect than he is right now. So they got some things going on over in Sacramento. It'll be a minute before they have some playoff success, but
Yeah.
they alright. They alright. Them and the Jazz have really been two teams that that's shocking everybody though.
Mhm.
That's like what we was talking about a couple episodes ago with the turn of the tide, like the shift of the times. And that's one of the things that you see when something like that starts happening. Teams that were bad start becoming the better teams in the league. So that just really lets me know that times are about to be changing soon. The old guys out of there, the young guys hooping.
Even the Cavs. I mean, the Cavs from 2 seasons ago are not the Cavs that we see right now. The
So
Cavs
facts.
2 seasons ago would never be in our top three, never be in our top five. But they've been consistently in the top three and top five of the league for the last month. So we'll see.
2 years ago, the Cavs was running they offense through Kevin Love. So that's crazy to
Yeah.
think that Kevin Love was their guy. Now that they
Mhm.
a top team in the league,
Exactly. Do
they
you have
hooping
any
it.
topics that you want to start off with today?
We can talk about some college hoops right off the bat because there's been a lot of good college basketball seasons really kicked all the way off. Like it's officially here. Talk about some personal disappointments in a second. We can get into Louisville basketball because we both Louisville guys. But I want to talk about I'm gonna start out talking about Arkansas because I've been catching a lot of Arkansas. Arkansas is one of my favorite teams to watch this year. They put together an amazing roster. Nick Smith hasn't been out there yet, but Anthony Black has been amazing. Like I was watching I watched the last two Anthony Black games. He's been 25 plus, putting up great stats. And when you watch him, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, this is a big guard. Like this is a like we got a 6'8" guard coming, 6'9" guard, and they won't really be a guard for real." But Anthony Black is really a guard. Like he does it all. He remind me a lot of Lamelo. Lamelo's a lot more flashy, so he's not like he doesn't have the same flashy aspect as Lamelo. But they both
Man, Anthony
see the
plays better
floor.
defense.
Yeah, he plays better defense, the way better defense.
Yeah.
Melo's not a great defender, but Anthony Black is a great
Right.
on ball defender. But he plays great offense too, and like he can really be a one. He plays really well off of the pick and roll. He sees the floor really well. He can score the ball when he needs to. He's a kid that can really get it done. He's looking like a solidified lottery pick. I think if I was a GM, I might be picking Anthony Black or like around the five range because like he's that good of a prospect to me with that type of size, the abilities that he has, like you can't really go wrong with him. So Arkansas is really a team to look out for because not just him, their whole unit has been hooping. Like Arkansas hoops for real.
Yeah, on the behalf of Arkansas, they have put together a very, very good roster this year. The crazy part about that is the freshmen that they do have haven't even reached their full potential, and they've been playing this way. And Nick Smith isn't even out there on the court yet.
Exactly.
That's why they were my early pick to win the national championship. North Carolina has been playing kind of iffy. They've won all their games, I believe, but North Carolina's been playing kind of iffy. Kentucky, they lost to Michigan State and Gonzaga. Gonzaga played iffy against Michigan State, and then Gonzaga lost already too, didn't they? Or
No,
no.
Gonzaga didn't lose.
Yeah, they just came close to losing against Michigan State.
But
They won by
I will say about Gonzaga is usually right. Gonzaga always comes in with a hyped up team, and they'll be good throughout the season because their conference isn't the strongest. When it comes tournament time, is when it's the real test for Gonzaga. Usually, I don't see that happening with them this year. Like this Gonzaga team looks like super legit.
yeah,
Drew Timmy is him. Like
yeah.
he's a bucket on offense. He does all the right things that a big man should. So I think that Gonzaga got a real
I
shot
like
this
that
year.
point. I really do like that point though. Gonzaga has a way deeper five and starting five and way deeper roster than they usually do, and it's not just the Gonzaga team that we see this year. This is one of the top echelon teams, and like you said, like usually we're questionable about them, but this year there's no questions. They're a top tier team, and what I also like that what they did this year is they stacked their non-conference schedule. Like
Mm-hmm.
their non-conference schedule that they don't get no easy weeks. They they play a lot of good teams throughout the first 2 3 months of the season, and then they go right into conference play. And even throughout conference play, yeah, the conference is a little questionable, but there's a few good teams like St. Mary's that always give them a test. So I hope their conference doesn't slow them down like they usually do, because they get used to playing that conference basketball instead of playing the strong teams, and then they go right back in March and struggle to get it done sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, back to Arkansas. I really like that team they got. Jordan Walsh hasn't even got filled his shoes yet. Once he gets his shoes wet, that team's gonna be very, very scary. And Nick Smith isn't even out there yet.
And
And
Jordan
yeah,
Walsh, like you said, he hasn't reached his full potential. But Jordan Walsh is another guy where he won't be a big guard type of guy because I don't think he'll be able to play as well off of the dribble and off of the pick and roll as
yeah,
a guy like Anthony Black. But when you talk about the things he gets done on the defensive end, you can't ask much more from a kid. Like he wants to play defense. Jordan Walsh always looks like he wants to be out there playing defense. Then he runs the floor, finishes around the rim. So that yeah, Arkansas's got a lot of guys that could be lottery.
yeah. I'm high on Anthony Black as well, but I'm not as high on him as you are. I would take Nick Smith around that 5 range. I would this draft class is very deep, so this is why I'm saying this. But I would take Anthony Black around the 10 to 15 range, mainly because I don't think I want to see his ceiling being a top 5 player once Nick Smith comes back. I think he'll not slow down, but I don't think he'll be scoring the 20-point games and having the 10 rebound games once everybody feels their roles. He just happened to be very ready at the start of the season. Ready. And I give it to him. He's been playing amazing. I scouted him back in the summer, and I really like the feel of the game that he has. That's one thing that he has as a young player that a lot of these young players do not have. The feel of the game that he has, he can go out there and make the game his game. Like everybody on the court is playing Anthony Black's game, and that's what I like about him.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand. I don't think he will end up being a top 5 pick because I do think, like you said, this draft class is loaded. You got a lot of guys.
Yeah,
I just think that for me, he's the future of NBA basketball, like his type of play style. But let's move on from Arkansas. We talked about them for a little bit. Let's get
yeah,
a little bit closer to home. Talk about some UK and some Louisville basketball because they both have been having their ups and downs. Well, Louisville has had no ups. Kentucky has had its
yeah.
ups and downs, but more downs than ups for them too. I don't really know what's going on with our basketball state right now. We're supposed to be a pretty decent basketball state. Both of our teams are not doing that good right now.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Louisville will do today against Cincinnati. This is the best chance they have to win a game all season, but they've been favored to win in most of the games so far.
Yeah,
So
that's the
I have no clue. What do you think is the issue with Louisville basketball?
See, it's just gonna sound crazy. The issue is coaching, but it's not coaching. The issue is that like it's not that the fact that Louisville has a bad coach. It's the fact that the way that Louisville's playing basketball right now doesn't fit the players that they have. When you look at this Louisville class that we have in right now, it's not as strong as other years, but it's by no means a terrible class. Like we got some guys in this class. Eli Ellis is a guy. He can get a
Yeah,
bucket whenever. He's a guy. They don't know how to piece their offense around these guys. So sometimes when I go out there and I watch Louisville basketball, it doesn't feel like they're playing college basketball. It feels like a grown high school game. And everybody
yeah,
knows that high school, the NBA, and college are very different. College is
yeah,
a direct team game. If you're not playing with all 5 guys on the court at the same time, you're not gonna win. So they need to learn how to offensively play with all 5 of their guys and not just have Eli Ellis come in there and throw up his shot. Because even though he'll make them, if he scores 20 points a game and the rest of the team also only puts up 20 points for the game, it's no good. So that and the little things. This Louisville team is one of the only Louisville teams I've seen that doesn't do the little things. They don't. Well, they haven't
yeah,
been doing it as much since Rick Pitino's been gone. But even other years, you had guys who we don't have a grit guy. We don't have a guy who you tell
yeah.
go in there and get a rebound and he'll go get every rebound or go after the loose
And
balls and he'll go
that's
do that.
that's my one critique of Kenny Payne so far. When you're coming into this Louisville program, that's always been what Louisville basketball has always been. That's what you need to implement from day one. You want your players to be absolute dogs out there on the court. And I know some of these Louisville guys on the team, and they're not doing
No.
that. And I'm not gonna say any names because whatever it is, but at the same time, these guys aren't going out there with the dog mentality that they need to have to win basketball games. They have the talent. They've had more talent than almost every team that they've played so far. Obviously not Arkansas, but still, that's with the talent they have. That team shouldn't get blown out by 20, 25 points and 35 points the next game. It's just that shouldn't happen when you're playing Texas. Texas Tech versus Louisville should not be a 30-point blowout.
No, not at all.
And they've had more talent than Wright State. That was an unacceptable loss. Absolutely. Bellarmine, that's a little. You can give a little there because Bellarmine has a very good coaching and has Scotty Davenport was one of the best coaches in college basketball, which I want to add on that later. But that one's a little, you got a little room there, but there's no reason that Louisville should be, 0-5 now?
4.
Maybe 0-6 today.
I think is it 4 or 5?
Okay, well then 0-5, maybe 0-5 today. But I don't know. Louisville hasn't looked too good. They're down there in Maui, and who even knows if they're focusing on basketball right now.
So they look even worse in Maui, which is what I don't understand. It's as the season's been going on, you expecting that, like after the first 2 losses, I'm like, okay, they're gonna get better. Like it looked visibly like this team isn't ready yet. They're somehow going the opposite way. They look a lot worse. I don't know if it's because they're playing better competition, but they look worse in Maui. Like they're making the same mistakes times 10. So that's what I really think that they got to tighten up is the mistakes they make.
I can tell you exactly what it is with that team in particular, mainly because I do know a lot of the guys on the team and I know what they're doing down there. But it's a lot of the teams and a lot of these tournaments, like in neutral sites that are far away from home. Some of these teams aren't going down there focusing on basketball. It's a very big issue right now. Like there's a lot of teams right now that go down to these tournaments. You're either going to win the tournament or lose the tournament, and it's solely based on how serious you take this tournament. This tournament is not a vacation, and that's what these teams need to understand. They're going down to Hawaii, and they're just going out there. They're not practicing. They're going down there. They're living life on the beach and stuff. Go back down there during the off season. This isn't the time for that. I understand that they have certain things set up for you, but it take like a 2-3 hour timer on the beach. You can have a good time down there, but your time down there is to win basketball games. It's not a vacation, and that's what some of these teams are getting confused with.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I understand how people are, so that makes a lot of sense. They got to tighten up. I don't know how much better that Louisville team can get for the year. I mean, hopefully Kenny Payne with the guys he has coming in next year, even though we didn't get as many guys as we were thinking that we was gonna get, but
yeah. I want to see this team get to 10 wins, and I don't even know if that's possible right now.
The way it looks right now, 10 wins would be tough for them to get.
Yeah.
Their schedule doesn't get much easier. Like, that's the thing that really worries me the most about this Louisville team is that the easiest games are out of the way, and we lost those. So I don't know what we're gonna do when we gotta run against the powerhouses of the NCAA.
What do you think about that Kentucky team so far?
They exceeded my expectations so far, which isn't saying a lot because I never have a lot of faith in Kentucky teams, and this team especially not because on paper they don't look like the best Kentucky team that we've seen in years. But the game against Michigan, I watched the highlights of that game. I don't know if Michigan looked really good that game, if Michigan was playing well, because Michigan had a very good game against Gonzaga. So I think that might just be Michigan this year. But that was a tough loss for Kentucky. And this Kentucky team also has having trouble finding their rhythm on offense. It's not as bad as Louisville at all. Nowhere near. But they gotta find a leader. That's what I think that their problem is. They need a guy who goes out there and he's gonna lead his team night in and night out. And every guy, every game, it looks like they kind of looking in a different guy's direction.
Yeah.
And it's no problem with that if that's working, but it doesn't seem to be working that much to me. So I think that they need to find a solidified guy, like lead us, help everybody else get better, and then that Kentucky team.
And that guy doesn't even always have to be the leading scorer. He just needs to go out there, take control of his team, and that's fine. As a player, you need to have a player leader on your court, and not everybody's just gonna be out there doing whatever they want to do. And a lot of people are questioning Coach Cal right now. I think it's too early to do that. People do that every single season with Coach Cal, and he's not going anywhere. But My main issue with this Kentucky team is 3-point shooting. When you have Jacob Toppin and Oscar Sheway starting, you're gonna need to have guards that can shoot the three ball.
Yeah.
I love Casey Wallace, but he cannot shoot the three as well as most of the other point guards of these top tier teams. And then they have two guys that they lean on for shooting, which is DJ Frederick and then Austin Reeves. In that 16-point loss against Gonzaga, CJ Frederick shot 1 for 6 from three, and Austin Reeves shot 2 for 7 from three. These are their 3-point shooters.
Yeah.
If those two guys don't get consistent, it's another first round loss every single time because you can throw the ball to Oscar Sheway every single time. But if he cannot kick it back out to any shooters, there's no way you're winning a basketball basketball game in the NCAA tournament. Not one.
Yeah, and to speak on who you was just talking about, because that was a good reminded me. I like Toppin a lot.
Yeah.
I like Lil Toppin a lot. But I think that if he doesn't develop more of an outside game, his career will not be going very far.
Yeah.
Like he's
That's
got
what a lot of the Kentucky players right now.
Yeah,
Honestly.
that's what a lot of them. You're right. Like the same with Kason Wallace too. He'll have a better chance of his career going farther because he's a guard. He has a lot of guard skills. He can move the ball around and play through an offense. But if he doesn't develop more of an outside scoring bag, I don't think he'll have a time in the league for that much longer. So it's like today's game, you got to be able to shoot the three ball. So to have a team full of guys who can't shoot the three ball for real, like a guy like Toppin, I think he has a real chance at going to the league because of his athleticism, his ability to get downhill, the way he plays in transition. But he won't be in the league long if he doesn't develop a jump shot.
Um, Spin into another team. I wanted to give a little shout out to Illinois. They're looking very good right now. Look like a top 10 team. Um, Terrence Shannon Jr. He had a game where he dropped 29 to 10. Before that, he dropped 24, and he has another game so far where he's dropped 27. I believe. I think it was their season opener. He's been playing out of his mind. I want to give a shout out to him because he's the way that he's been going. And so last year he transferred in from Texas Tech. He wasn't this type of player. He dedicated his entire summer, which a lot of these D1 athletes should be doing. He dedicated his entire summer to getting better in the gym. He will wake up at 4 a.m., go straight to the gym, and shoot basketball all day. He really had the Mamba mentality. And that's what I like to see out of him. And the way that he's been playing so far, I want to see him keep going like this all season in Illinois. And they got the Baylor transfer from Matthew Meyer. The way that they're playing so far, I want to see them keep doing that all season. I feel like that team could be winning the Big Ten, honestly. And I want to see them do well in March.
Yep, I seen young Sky Clark over there hit a big game winning shot the other day. So Illinois, they got a lot of pieces because they got I can't remember his name, light skinned dude. He played he's been in Illinois for 2 years now, I think.
Go
He played at prolific prep with Jalen Green, but he's a defensive big. He's pretty solid, and like Illinois, they got a solid staff too. They got a good coach. They made a run. What was that? Was that last year or was that 2 years ago when Illinois made that
run. That was 2 years ago when Kofi was.
Yep. When Kofi was there. So I mean, we know that Illinois has the coaching experience, and they got right now. They definitely look like they have the talent. So they're a team that I would 1,000% be watching out for to make a run in March Madness this year.
And their one loss that they have, I believe. Their one loss that they have is to Virginia, who is a very good team. So that one loss that they have by 9 points, that shouldn't be a mark against them. Did you have any other topics for me?
Trying to think if I had any other teams I wanted to talk about. We talked about Duke for a little minute too. Just a little second. I want to hear how you feeling about Duke this year because I know you're a big Duke fan. So.
Yeah, I'm a big Duke fan. That's not no secret. But I wanted to calm any Duke fans down about the loss to Kansas. For one, we didn't have our go-to scoring guy. That game was neck and neck the entire game. We are missing Dariq Whitehead. So once he comes back, and Derek Lively was on limited minutes, so he didn't start that game. He finished the game out, but it was kind of questionable how that center rotation was going. Once they get that situation figured out, this team's going to be a very good team. They actually have, throughout the start of the season, played very well. They've to my expectations, and maybe a little bit higher than my expectations. Kyle Filipowski, that kid, I scouted him over the summer as well. My biggest question for him was his physicality. That dude has been going out there and scrapping. Like any Duke big from any past time. He is going out there and scrapping. He broke a few records. He broke a Marvin Bagley record with points and rebounds in that championship classic game. I believe he had 19 and 12. I believe he had 19 and 12, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, the way that he's been playing so far at the start of the season, if he continues to play like that to when Derek Whitehead comes back and Derek Lively comes back with his full minutes, that team's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And now I see why some of these pages had Kyle Filipowski as their number one player in the nation. I was questionable of it first, but the way that he's going to play like the best recruit in the nation. So.
No, and that's no exaggeration. I've seen a lot of the highlights from his games so far. He does it all. For his size, he does it all. He gets it done, and he finishes around the rim a lot better than I was expecting him to. I mean, I didn't watch him much in high school or anything, so I didn't know that he was that tough. Like I didn't know that he was that big around the rim. He finished like that around the rim.
And to be completely honest with you, he wasn't. He didn't show like I was very big on him in high school, and he was not like that in high school. He was not playing with his physicality in high school. Something happened with John Steyer over the summer where he's been up in his play in the paint. And the most underrated aspect of his game, which he hasn't even shown yet to Duke, is his passing. His passing is up there with some of the best bigs in the league right now. His pass, like his vision, is amazing. And once he starts showing that, probably when Derek Lively comes back and he don't have to play in the paint as much, his passing is gonna be on full display.
Yeah, he stretched the floor too though. That was a big surprise for me. Like he really stretched the floor.
Yeah.
He can
he
not
can shoot
only
that
can
ball.
he shoot it out there, but he can catch it out there and be comfortable with the ball.
Yeah.
Like be comfortable to get downhill to
Yeah.
do whatever he needs to do. So he's a real deal NBA prospect. He's a guy that I can see being lottery, not high lottery, but he could be somewhere in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of the draft boards before the season started had him in the second round, late first round. But just through the first 5 games of the season, he has shown that he is a lottery to mid late first rounder already, and I want to see that improve.
He got the skill set for it.
Mhm.
Do you have your a topic that you want to get into?
Yeah, I wanted to see if you agree with this or not. I wanted to say that Steph Curry is not the best point guard in the league. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I could. It depends on who you are saying is the best point
That's
guard in the league. I
that's
could
what I wanted to get into.
possibly
I feel like
understand it.
Luka is the best point guard in the league right
Well,
now.
then I'm gonna say no. I don't agree with you. Luca point guard wise, player wise, scoring wise, for his team wise. Luca is not better than Steph Curry in all of those aspects. So I don't think Luca's a better point guard, a better scorer, a better player for his team, or any of that stuff. Steph Curry right now is probably the most valuable player on a basketball team right now. If you take away Steph Curry from the Warriors, they're getting Victor Wembanyama. So I think that it is hard for anybody to be better than Steph Curry right now. The things he's doing is crazy. Even when he has his down days are so important for the Warriors. Like that, the Warriors still need him. I mean, Luka's great though. I'm not taking anything away from Luka. I just don't see that he's better than Steph Curry right now.
Crazy thing is, I'm gonna disagree with you on like almost every aspect, like player comparison. I'm gonna disagree with you on every aspect that you said. I think Luka's a better scorer. He scores at will. And if you're talking about point guard, pure point guard, Luka's running the court. Like he is running the floor. He is facilitating his offense. He's getting the assists. He is making everybody on his team look good as well. And rebounding, that's not close. Like we that's kind of unfair, but it's
I
not
mean, he
even
got rebounding.
with him and Steph. But yeah, no, I think Luka is the better player and point guard than Steph Curry. But I mean, yeah, agree to disagree.
Yeah, and I think that the hardest comparison comes scoring wise, because that's the one that I feel like is really close. I
Yeah,
don't. Luka's a great scorer, and like you said, Luka does score the ball at will. It's just when Steph Curry gets to making threes, what can you do?
Take
Who can score
it.
better than
Yeah,
AD?
you have a very good point there, but I don't know. But taking a step out of the picture, how long do you see Luka staying in Dallas if they don't win anything? Yeah, he has what I call the LeBron problem. When LeBron first got drafted into the league, he was so good when he first started out. Like he was immediately like a top tier player in the league. Luca is exactly that. He is immediately a top tier player in the league. He made his team better and he made his team so much better, but they just weren't a championship contender. So he left and went to Miami. How long do you see Luca staying in Dallas if they can't build nothing around him? Do you see him being a career Dallas player?
See, and Luca strikes me as that type of guy. He strikes me as the
Mm-hmm.
type of guy who stayed in the same place for his whole career. But at the same time, Donovan struck me as that type of guy. So
Yeah.
it's hard to tell in today's league. I think that the Mavs do need to focus more on trying to build around Luca and put better pieces around Luca. Because if I was Luca, I probably would have already left. Like I probably would have been trying to get to better places quicker because the window for him to win a championship is really kind of small. Like the guys
Yeah.
that's coming into the league
Yeah.
are looking like guys. Like when Victor comes into the league, we don't know what he is yet, but he's looking like a guy that could dominate the league for years. Uh, Paolo Bencaro looks like a guy that could dominate the league for years. So Luca's window to win a championship, Jason Tatum too. They both windows are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So I would like to see them the Mavs. I like to see the Mavs make some moves to try to get a championship within the next 3 years. Like I think that if the Mavs don't win a championship in the next 3 years, they kind of fumble in Luca's prime. So
Yeah, I agree with you, but I feel like they started and they still haven't even done anything with it. Like they made the right move in signing Christian Wood, but they keep him on the bench. So there's no reason for him to even be on the team. Like he's been very vocal about the fact that he wants more minutes, he wants a bigger role, and they still haven't even given it to him. Why did you go out and try to build around Luca and get Christian Wood, who played amazing last year with the Rockets? He was their only bright spot. Well, not their only bright spot. Jalen Green was there, but he was the bright spot for the Houston Rockets, and now he's just a bench role player on the Mavericks when Luca needs another piece to be that championship contender.
yeah, they
Uh,
definitely need to do something with that. And they didn't re-sign Brunson. The more and more Brunson plays with the Knicks, the more and more Brunson is looking like he's gonna have a solidified role in the league for a minute. So
they should have done anything to keep Jalen Brunson, anything possible,
yeah,
because it's going to be difficult to get guys to go to Dallas when you already have them there and they know that they have that role. There's no reason that they should have let Jalen Brunson out of that team.
and it's like
They good.
they have to do something though because the position that they're in, they're not bad enough to be a team that's gonna rebuild through the draft. They're not good enough
Yeah.
to win the championship, and they got cap room to play with. When you think about big contracts, the only guy that they have right now that's even worthy of a big contract is Luca.
It's Luka, yeah.
So it's like you said,
I know.
they got to get pieces to Dallas.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go about that. Like I said, they made the right first step. Christian Wood was the correct first step. Honestly, I don't know if they even put in anything for Donovan Mitchell or even Rudy Gobert. They could have tried to do something there, but
And
I
they
don't even
should
know
have
if they
tried to
tried
get Rudy.
that.
That would have been a nice fit if they would have tried to
Yeah,
get Rudy. So,
if
what
Luka
about
and
you
Mitchell would
though?
have been on that same team,
Oh, that would have been crazy. Do you think Luca will leave?
I don't know. Uh, like you said, Donovan Mitchell struck me as the type of guy that he was gonna stay with one team his entire career, and he surprised me. And Damian Lillard struck me as the type of guy to leave already, and he's been staying with Portland. So, to be completely honest, I do not know yet, but in my opinion, I think in Luka's best favor, it would be best for him to leave Dallas and go to another team. I'm not telling him to just go to the Celtics or the Warriors, but just somewhere that's a better fit for him. Honestly, if he wants to go down as an all time great and leave with a few championships under his belt, I don't think Dallas is the place for him to be.
Yeah, and now when I think about it, because Dallas has had the same organization for a minute. Mark Cuban's been running Dallas for a minute. Even when you look at the championship team with Dirk, Dallas never really has put together a super great roster. Like Dirk carried that team, but they had Jason Terry and Sean Marion and guys on that team. So, I mean, of their time, of their respective era, with well, not even era because that wasn't that long ago, but of their respective time, those guys was decent. But still, they've never really had a star-studded roster. So, I don't know if they have the front office capabilities to go and get those guys. I'm hoping they do because, like I said, I'd hate for Luca to spend his next 3 years in the same spot, like not being bad enough to rebuild in the draft, not being good enough to win the championship, and we see Luca's prime get wasted because we've seen that happen with a lot of guys. So I'd hate for that to happen with Luca.
I agree. The last thing I want to see happen is his prime get wasted. Because he is a generational talent. We've never seen a player like Luka the way that he plays. Did you have another point that you wanted to bring up or topic?
Uh, I'll stick on some NBA real quick because I got that made me ask another question. Stay in the West. The Phoenix Suns. I know we've seen the Suns go back.
Mhm.
I mean, go to the championship a few years back. How soon or if they will do you think the Suns could have the possibility to return to the finals and win a championship? Because they look on paper last year, this year, they have the best team in the West on paper, but they fall short in the playoffs a lot. The year that they didn't fall short in the playoffs, they just happened to run into Giannis being Giannis. So
The team also ran into a lot of injuries
yep, that
during
too.
that playoff run. So and everybody was injured, and you can't just take that away from them because they did play when they were supposed to play. It's not like they injured the players, so you can't take that away from them. But the Suns, they're always a big question mark for me because they're going to be a good regular season team. They're going to have a high seeding in the playoffs, and they're really a team that you have to go off based off of matchups with them. And so, if they get the right matchups, they can beat a lot of the teams in the West, and even some of the teams that they could be put up against in the finals. But to answer your question, I don't see them getting back to the finals. Not in the near future. Chris Paul isn't the same player that he was a few years ago. He is still that veteran leader, but we've seen Chris Paul have games where he's going out there and just dropping 7 points and 6 assists this season. So
Yeah.
and that's not the Chris Paul that we would have seen even just 2 or 3 years ago. Even in that playoff run when he was injured, he was still playing better than this. So uh, I don't I don't see that team for that team to get back to the finals. Chris Paul is going to have to tap back into his old self, and I don't see that happening. So I see them being one of these teams that will keep winning regular season games, and unless they get another piece, I don't see them getting back to the finals anytime soon. And I see them going back to not all the way back to the way Devin Booker was, where he was scoring 70. That team where he scored 70 on, and they were just horrible, and it was just Devin Booker.
Yep.
But I see them falling back into a middle of the pack team once Chris Paul is completely done with, and their team just happens to be a good basketball team. It's just not. I see them being the way that we see the Jazz right now
Yeah. Yeah.
once
I
Chris
can
Paul's done.
I can definitely agree with that. I feel like if the Suns have a shot at a championship, that this year is the last year. Chris
Yeah,
Paul is on
absolutely.
is on the regress. Like there's no more secret about it, no more question about it if Chris Paul is gonna be good or not. Coming into next season, Chris Paul is not getting any better. Like his numbers are going to start getting worse and worse every year. So
Yeah,
with that being said, Devin Booker is one of my favorite players. Matter of fact, he might be my second favorite player in the league right now. I love to watch Devin Booker the way he plays. If the Suns, no, that's not if the Suns have all the pieces they need around Devin Booker and them right now to win a championship. If those pieces don't learn how to step into their role, and really the main guy I'm talking about is DeAndre Ayton. If DeAndre Ayton doesn't become more dominant and doesn't become a real force in the paint on offense and do what he has the ability to do, DeAndre Ayton should be the best big man in the league. When you're talking about
yes.
skill, size,
Frame.
frame,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
defensive ability. He should be able to do everything Joel Embiid does. So
There's no reason for him not to.
until DeAndre Ayton taps into that bag, this year will definitely be the Suns' last year's shot at the championship because this is the last year that their team will be this all around good. But in the future, if the Suns want to ever get back to this level again, it has to be DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker are a 1-2 punch. And DeAndre Ayton has to be just as good as Devin Booker. And right now, Devin Booker is up here because Devin Booker to me is a top 10 guy in the league, depending on how you want to look at it. He has to be somewhere around that range. DeAndre Ayton is 20s in the 20s for me. So
And
DeAndre Ayton's got to be a top 10 player.
He, for a player like him, you need to see flashes out of him. We just don't see him enough. We've seen him in the past in some of the playoff games they've had, but I haven't seen him had a flash of this season where you can look at him and be like, he can be one of the best citizens in the league in the next year or two. But we know DeAndre Ayton. We know that he can be a Joel Embiid type of player. We know that he can be a top 5 center in the league one day if he really taps into that unfilled potential. But the question is he going to fill that potential? All the other pieces around the Suns have been filling their potential and more. Cam Johnson, that's his name, right? Yeah, Cam Johnson. No way that I would have ever saw him playing this well in the league.
Nah,
He comes out here, he gives it his all every single night, night in, night in. I mean, night in, night out. He plays his role and he contributes to the game. DeAndre Ayton isn't contributing to a basketball game the way that he should be.
Even a guy like Mikal Bridges, he came into the league as a very good defender. He's developed an offensive game. He shoots the ball well. He plays a legitimate role. Everybody on the Suns team is showing very good progress besides Ayton. And I really think a lot of it is mentality. Ayton's got to mentally get tougher so he can be tougher in real life. Like he shouldn't be the type of guy who's out there throwing his arms in there for foul. Even a guy like Joel Embiid does it, or Giannis does. But when you look at the way that Giannis and Joel Embiid get fouled compared to a guy like Ayton, it's a landslide. People literally try to take those guys' heads off when they come in the paint because their ability to score down there is so good. So Ayton not receiving those type of fouls, he has no reason to complain as much as he does, to not get the ball and be aggressive down there as much as he does. So he's got to really turn it around if the Suns want to have a shot in the future.
My Lakers have been playing without LeBron. How do you feel about that?
I think that the way people are looking at it, because I seen the narrative. It's not a narrative. I just seen the little posts is, how they do with everybody when a star is not there and the team is having success.
But
Is he the problem?
It's gonna be worse with the Lakers.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
and it's LeBron. We're not gonna act like LeBron is the problem on any team he's ever been on.
At all.
So, I mean, I hope the Lakers can find a way to turn around. I hope that this is the spark that they need to realize what they need to do to actually win games when they do get a full healthy squad. But AD has been looking like AD at times. He also looks like the soft AD at times still though. So
yeah,
you can never tell with that guy. But Pat Bev has been stepping into his role. I seen him the other day though. He threw Ayton to the ground and tried to fight the whole Suns team. Pat Bev is really a menace out there. But the Lakers are still gonna be the Lakers. I don't think that with LeBron, without LeBron, that we're gonna see a playoff jump or anything. So either way, with or without him, wins or not winning without him, it's the Lakers. They're not gonna be too great.
I disagree with you. Man, here's why. Over the last 4 games, I'm looking at the stats right now. Anthony Davis has scored 37, 38, 30, and 37 again. That 4-game stretch is absolutely crazy.
No, it is. It is.
They lost their last game by 10 to the Suns, which is a very good team. Yes, he did it against the Nets, the Pistons, and the Spurs. Those wins. So I see the point there. But 5 blocks, 5 steals, 37 in his last game. And 21 rebounds. Well, wait a second. I didn't know that was a stat line. 37,
that's crazy.
5 steals, 5 blocks, and 21 rebounds.
Now that's crazy. I'm saying Anthony Davis is, like I said, he showed the old AD, but then I just remembered 2 weeks ago, I watched the man get tripped and fall and he was acting like he tore his whole
Yeah,
everything again. So I just gotta remember, how long is we gonna see
yeah.
this from AD? So
That's the main issue here. And here's what the Lakers need to realize, and it's what the Suns are best at. Everybody needs to play their role. See, everybody's in LA trying to play different because they're in LA. No, Pat Bev, stop being a shooter. You're not a shooter. Be a defensive player and force turnovers. LeBron, stop trying to be 2013 LeBron. Just be a leader and average a cool 22. And it's almost time to give AD the reins as the leading scorer and just let him
yes,
be that AD that we saw in the Pelicans. AD stops being soft and stops falling to the ground every single play. Uh, if you watch the Lakers game, you're going to see Anthony Davis on the ground at least 15 times, and it's so weird how he's just constantly on the floor. But if he stops being soft, if LeBron plays his role, and we keep Russ in that. Russ has been thriving in that 6-man role, and that's what I said he should have been from the jump. I, the way that he could just come off the bench and then let Russ just do whatever Russ wants to do when he's a 6-man. That's when he's gonna play his best. He's not gonna play his best out there with starts because then he's messing up everybody else's game. He's starting off the whole game plan. But if you keep Russ on the bench, like in that 6-man role, let him have his minutes, but he plays 6-man. Let AD be the star here. Let LeBron simmer off, but still be LeBron in the moments that he needs to be LeBron, and let Pat Bev play defense. This team can have, I feel like they can have a playoff job. But that only comes with everybody playing the role that they need to step into.
yep. And I think that point you made is a really good point. With Anthony Davis being the leading scorer, there's no reason why anybody at any time on the Lakers should have not been getting the ball to Anthony Davis every play. If
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is healthy and you have a half court set on offense and the ball doesn't touch his hands for that play, this was completely a throwaway in my opinion. There's nobody on that team who's good enough to say, let me take the ball out of Anthony Davis's hands. Anthony Davis needs the ball in his hands every single play down if the Lakers even want to have a chance at winning games this season. So I think that
And
that's the first step for them to become a winning program is run the offense through AD. Get
yeah.
everybody on the same page that AD is the guy and AD needs to have the ball. And if AD isn't being soft and fake and injured, the Lakers will have a good year.
Another
Well,
thing he needs to
a
stop
decent
doing.
year.
Another thing he needs to stop doing. I'm going to point this out to you. Over the last 4 games that I pointed out to you, he shot 3 3-pointers. That is a good thing for me. AD isn't shooting the same as he was in the bubble, and he kept forcing threes last year and the year before that. But now I feel like he's realizing, okay, I'm a big man. Stop shooting the three. Like even though it's nice to be able to stretch the floor, stick to your bread and butter. If that's not your game, that's not your game. If you can go out there, last game, like I said, he scored 37 points, did not shoot a single 3-pointer. If you can do that, stick to that. Stop trying to shoot threes. If he stops shooting threes, if he stops stepping out to the 3-point line and lets the shooter shoot and lets him just go get 40 without even shooting a 3-pointer, this team could be, the ceiling can be back to where the talent looks like. We have the talent. Just don't have the way that we should be playing. The team morale is just not there.
Nah, that's facts. That's facts. Anthony Davis definitely needs to stop shooting the threes. It was
Yeah.
making me mad when he was doing that last year and in the
But like I said, over the past 4 games, where he had that incredible stat lines, he's only shot 3 threes. That's what I want. That's what I want to see.
Definitely need to see that out of him.
Do you have any more topics you want to bring up, or did you want to end off of that?
Now we can end it off right there.
Yeah, we get that looks like the little hour mark. Anyways,
Yep, close enough, you know.
do you want to close it out?
Yeah, I will. It was episode 6 of our Over and Back podcast. We'll be back next week with all of our people back. Rob will be back next week.
Yep.
Tuesdays, 4 p.m. on Twitch, 3 Central. So all the people that's watching on YouTube and all the viewers that was in the stream, thank you for sticking with us. Over and Back on all of our socials, and we'll see y'all next week.